Boom. So today I will be reviewing Samurai Western.
Yeah.
Samurai Western is a spin-off of maybe my favorite series of video games of all times, um, Way of the Samurai. Uh, though this takes a very different approach, a much more arcadey approach to it, whereas the Way of the Samurai games are kind of, they're like very light RPG, with a little bit of like a Grand Theft Auto in the you know without stealing cars. It's hard to explain, honestly, this style of those games. They're short. They're like anywhere from a half hour to maybe like 2 to 3 hours long. They've got a bunch of different endings, and the whole point is to just go and role play as a samurai. Okay. But this, like I said, takes a very different approach to it. Where you're kind of playing like an arcade version of like the classic movie Red Sun, which, if you don't know what that movie is, it's a Charles
Go watch it.
Bronson,
It's so
Toshiro
good.
Mifune movie. If you've ever seen actually Shanghai Noon, Shanghai Noon's a remake of Red Sun,
Yes.
only with a Chinese character instead of a Japanese character. And then it's also much funnier because the original was more of a drama than a comedy, for sure. But it's got two of my favorite actors of all times, Toshiro Mifune and Charles Bronson, which is awesome. So the gameplay you're seeing right here, I recorded earlier today because my streams of this had expired. So I just played a couple of the bonus levels, which are extremely hard. So you'll just see me goofing around. But like I said, it's a very arcadey game. It's got a fun little story that you go through. Kind of spaghetti western with a samurai thrown in, right?
So good.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a very, very fun game.
Yep.
This was developed by Acquire and Spike. And I don't remember who brought it over to America, but that's not a huge deal. This released on January 1st, 2005 for the PlayStation 2. Now, I obviously played this in an emulator because my PlayStation 2 is long gone, but I did own this game. And that's why the graphics look a little better, because I was able to up-res it. Let's see. Anything else that should be noted about this game? It only released on the PlayStation 2, to my knowledge. So
Yep.
that's where you can get it. And this was actually, what's funny? This game, I didn't know this, but apparently it was kind of like a cult classic, or like maybe like a sleeper, because I tried to rebuy this game, and where I've been able to buy other PlayStation games brand new in the package for like very inexpensive, this one's like $500 in like a CD case.
What?
So like, this game is very hard to find, and if you do find it, it ain't cheap, which is wild to me.
Jeez.
Um,
That's nuts.
but yeah, what do I like about the game? It is just stupid fun. Like, as you can see, I'm like dodging bullets and deflecting them with a freaking sword. Just running around doing all that stuff in the Wild Wild West. It's very, very
So good.
good fun. Silly violence, and you see the blood splurts and everything, and it's all contained in this fun, like, arcadey, episodic. You go from level to level, and there's exposition before each thing, so you're able to very easily track the story as you go through. Let's see what else is fun about it. The mechanics are pretty easy. There's some fun customizable stuff. You can put on different like costumes and silly like aesthetic stuff that also contribute to your stats. So some things will like improve your strength or your speed, or your whatever it is, defense. And like, some of them can be very silly. You can get like birds to sit on you or whatever.
That's awesome.
Yeah, all sorts of fun stuff. So that's pretty cool. And there's also a whole bunch of different weapons that you can get, and different swords will give you different attack styles as well. So that's pretty cool too. What do I not like about this game? It's very much a departure from the source material being the Way of the Samurai games. And I like the RPG aspects of Way of the Samurai, and I think that still would have been fun in this game, and that's not really there. It's really just you go from level to level, and do your thing. Another thing that that I don't like about this game, but could have been really cool, is this game's actually 2-player co-op. I don't have any gameplay of that, but basically, you've got your main character. And then there's also, he's got a cowboy, homie that you can play as a second player. The problem is the camera does not work properly when you're playing co-op. And so it's just a really, well, I mean, as you can see right here, the camera's following your main character.
Yeah.
If I'm remembering correctly, and it's been years since I played co-op in this, but if I'm remembering correctly, there's no split screen, and the camera follows the main character, and so often the side character will be off screen or like in awkward positions, and it's kind of a disaster.
That reminds me in a strange way of like NHL 94.
Mm-hmm.
When you have to be on the same screen.
Yeah. So it's that's rough. That's another thing that I say, that could have been very cool, but I think they really dropped the ball and they kind of shoehorned that feature in. Which is a bummer. Another cool thing about this game that I forgot to mention, and you can kind of see that in that custom rules screen that they just showed, is once you've beaten a stage, you can go back and replay it and change the rules to give yourself like handicaps and stuff, and that will increase your score. And like the higher scores you get on certain stages, the more items you'll unlock, which is also cool. And you can also unlock other bonus stages as well.
Sure.
Let's see here. Moving along, how is the gameplay? Is it fun? Yeah, the gameplay's fun. It's very basic. But it's fun. It's functional, and especially for the time, the graphics were good. It was just a fun little jaunt, I would say. Sure. The art is fine. I wouldn't say it's anything spectacular, but it's definitely good. And again, this is PlayStation 2 era, so for the time, you can see on the screen, it looks pretty darn good for a PlayStation 2 game.
Yeah.
The music is exceptional, actually. The music is very good. And this is something that I think carries over from the Way of the Samurai games. Those games have always had really fantastic music. It's kind of like, traditional Japanese music mixed with like cool, like, synth guitars and things like that. And it sounds really cool. It's very cool music. And it definitely fits the setting in a weird way. Especially because this game makes no attempt at being realistic, right? So, so that's fun. Sound design is not as good as the music. Sound design's kind of basic, and that's also something that I think carries over from the Way of the Samurai games. The sound design's not. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not standout in any way. How long did it take to beat? I think I beat this game in I played it on stream, and I got through it pretty quick. I think you can beat this game probably in like 4 to 6 hours pretty easily, especially if you're just grinding through it. But it's very replayable, so that's something that I would say is something good about the game that I can definitely say. Would I play a sequel? Oh, the next question is, was the game difficult? It can be very difficult, actually, especially in the later levels. It can be very difficult. And as you can see, I mean, this level that I'm playing right now is another bonus level. It's not particularly hard, but some of these bonus levels are exceptionally hard.
Yeah.
But you can change the difficulty levels, and you can also, especially once you've beaten a level, you can adjust, with those game options as well, to kind of like curtail your experience to how you want that level to play.
Yeah.
Which is good. Would I play a sequel? Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think there ever would be a sequel.
Right. At this point, yeah.
Especially since they've basically killed the Way of the Samurai series too.
Yeah.
You know, which is unfortunate. So to see any more spin-offs, there was a recent spin-off of Way of the Samurai. I forget what it's called. I've got it on my Switch, but my Switch isn't on me right now. And it's like a top-down, almost like Diablo-like. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And that was released.
I play that.
Yeah, that was released a few years ago. And it's okay.
Sure.
But you know, I think they're done with Way of the Samurai, unfortunately. So we're not going to see any more of this, which is a bummer. My overall rating and impression for this game, I would say this game's a solid 7.
Sure.
Which I think is a good score. I know it might sound a little low, but if you think about it, like,
you know, we keep saying that, but like, you know, a 7 is, you know, on our ranking, that's good.
I think so too. I think we just we pick a lot of exceptional games, which is why a lot of our games tend to be much higher. But even like our recent Mega Man reviews and stuff, which those are some of our favorite games on the planet, and you know, we gave those 8s. You know, so I think this is a solid 7. I think a flat score of 7 is a little bit of an amateur score, but like, you know, I think that like, you know, to give it like a 7.5 or something would be kind of disingenuous. So like, there's
what was it I gave Space Marine? Like it was a something 0.3.
Sure.
Or what, I don't know, whatever I reviewed last.
I don't remember.
But like, yeah, not every game has to be you know, perfectly on the line, but occasionally we do have ones that fall, you know, at exactly a 7.0.
Right. So if you want to play a game that's like just a like really silly but fun, you know, action, like kind of arcadey style game in a setting that's very unique, right? Samurai in the Wild Wild West. Like, this game's definitely worth checking out. Though emulation might be your best option. We don't condone illegal, you know, copies and stuff, but like, this game's like $500. So
yeah, something needs to be done about this.
Yeah,
this is an problem.
So anyway, is it worth, if you can find a cheap copy of this game and you got a way to play it, for sure, pick it up, especially because it's probably going to be worth something. But yeah. Anywho,
start looking at your junk stores and your
vintage stock, places like that, whatever. Actually,
stores,
it's probably expensive at vintage stock, but anyway, that about wraps that up. That was our review for the week. Let me switch back here.